Hello, I'm Orkan Amashov. The presidential election in Georgia is scheduled to take place on the 14th of December, and the newly elected Georgian parliament is to approve the country's new government on the 28th of November, with the opposition parties vehemently claiming that the results are illegitimate, refusing to take their seats in the newly elected parliament. Joining me today is Viktor Kipiani, chair of a Georgian think tank known as GeoCase. Mr. Kipiani, thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Thank you. A pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Mr. Kipiani, it appears that the political situation in Georgia is rather tense. Would you be able to walk us through what's happening there now?
Yes, it is, and it has several dimensions or implications. One is the implications from the standpoint of the constitutional law. You already mentioned that the new parliament has started to work yesterday and has recognized its own authority. But that's happening at the background of the several constitutional complaints which have been filed with the Georgian Constitutional Court. And those complaints are challenging the validity of the elections. A result, an outcome has yet to be seen, but that is type of the complexity which introduces certain uncertainties into the situation. The next uncertainty, or the next dimension, is the non-acceptance of the results of the elections by a significant chunk of Georgian society. And that is something which has to be taken into the consideration, because without a wide, broad consensus on the validity of the elections, speaking about the long-term projections, stability, order, and development, it could be quite a questionable agenda, to put it softly. And the last but not the least dimension is the recognition of those elections by Georgia's major partners, which is the European Union and the United States in the first place. That recognition is still on hold. And all in all, taking into account, taking all together those dimensions, again, they're putting the situation, as I keep saying, in the flux.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And allow me to quote Vision Georgia platform. I think yesterday they wrote on X platform that, and I'm quoting them now, this day they're referring actually to the rally which took place yesterday in front of the Georgian parliament. This day once again demonstrated that everyone in the Georgian political spectrum, including the so-called pro-Western opposition and the president, is playing the same game. They succeeded in killing one of the largest civil society movements in modern Georgian history this spring, which had the real power to change anything. What is happening right now is a complete disappointment. I mean, this sounds a bit like an obituary, doesn't it?
Well, it is disappointment. And that disappointment is still lingering in the air in the aftermath of the elections. And I also have to admit that to some extent that disappointment has got into resignation. And you feel that on the ground, you feel that in different strata of Georgian society. But well, that is about sort of the emotional side of the story. As for the non-emotional side of the story, which is about the legalese and the international environment, we yet have to see what will come up till the end of this year. And when I'm saying we have yet to see, it's about the final report by OSCE, which yet has to summarize or sum up its position about recognizing or not recognizing Georgian elections as fair and transparent. That is very much pending. And still some reactions by the European Union and by the United States, especially in the context of Georgia's integration process with EU, which has been stalled officially, and we already have statements to that effect. We don't expect that the accession talks will be opened by fall of this year. But then we have to see what could be sort of a backlash by EU in that respect. And the second issue, which is not less important, is the modus operandi by the new administration in the United States. What would be their reaction? We already had that the United States in the process of revisiting its policies with Georgia And yeah, I think that some consequences of that revision have yet to surface. So this is quite tough environment, I have to admit, and which is adding to that sense of fatigue and frustration on the ground.
And how do you think the argument about Georgia's territorial integrity, the fact that the current government is saying that they are in a better position to actually do something discernible, tangible in terms of protecting Georgia's territorial integrity, actually recovering Georgia's territorial integrity? Do you think this argument would resonate with Georgian public at this juncture?
Well, of course, it has a resonating effect, but still we've not had anything to the substance of those statements. What are the sort of the nitty-gritties or the some extra details behind those statements? At least we're not aware of. More than that, every time when Georgian Dream makes a statement about as if getting closer to restoring territorial integrity of Georgia or having some projections in that respect, immediately we have counter statements by the Russian Federation, which says that the results of the Russian-Georgian war back in 2008 remain as they are. And by those results, we have to remind our audience it's about recognition by Russian Federation of the Georgian breakaway provinces of Abkhazia and the so-called South Ossetia. So again, effectively speaking, it's really very hard to comment about any nexus between the statements made by Georgian Dream and on one side and the practicalities of implementing those statements on another side. So it's a big vacuum in that respect.
See, you earlier said that there's a degree of uncertainty. We don't know really what is going to happen. But if I ask you very briefly, what is your fundamental expectation as long as the period starting now and the 14th of December? Do you expect anything dramatic to happen during that time period spell?
More likely, the constitutional compliance would be dealt by the constitutional court saying yes to the validity of the elections, and that means that the Georgian opposition has to find out a new modus operandi alongside with Georgian society. So again, it's a big issue. It's really hard for us to make any predictions in terms of what could be the shape of that new modus operandi. And it also big say on the side of the United States and the European Union. In that respect, would be a level of cooperation with the Georgian Dream, if any, should they implicitly or explicitly recognize the results of the parliamentary election. So again, I'm quite conscious that you would like to have more specific response from my side, but at this point there is no plausible grounds to speak about any specificity in that respect.
Mr. Kipiani, I'm so grateful to you for your time. Thank you very much indeed. This is all for now, and again, see you very soon.